Hello world, this is Nadira Abaya with NBI Inspires, and I'm here to inspire you. Welcome back. Ooh, welcome back to everyone in the world. Thank you so much for checking me out. Thank you so much for the time that you're putting into this to just listen to me. I appreciate you so much. So hope you give you all that you need and more. So thanks for showing up today. And thank you for me showing up. Yay. So this is episode 11, and episode 11 is about ego. What? Yeah, we talk about the human ego, or ego in general. And, if you're with me a while, I'd like to roll into appreciation. So I want to just thank God. I want to thank my family, my husband, my children. Oh, my family, love you all so much. Everyone, all my friends, everyone's holding me down. Shoot with Haas, my brother Haas, thank you. Nicole, my hairstylist at Cleo's in Montclair, New Jersey. Please check her out. And everyone else that has been a big support. Thank you so much. And we're all listening together. And you gotta dream big. So I want you guys always dream big. So that's what we're doing here. Thank you. So the definition for ego is I or self of any person, a person as thinking, feeling, and willing and distinguishing itself from selves of others, from objects of its thought. A person's self of self-esteem or self-importance. The word ego comes from the Latin word I, which is literally translated ego, means I. And also in another language, in Arabic, the word ego is the word ego is nafs, N-A-F-S, and that means self. So nafs in Arabic means self, which is translated as ego or your soul. So in Latin, if you were writing a letter, for instance, like I love you, in Latin, you'd write ego amote. However, the use of the word ego crept in psychology mostly through the Sigmund Freud and Freud's theory of psychosexual development. The superego is the last component of personality to develop. The ID is the basic primal part of personality. It is present from birth. The ego begins to develop during the first 3 years of a child's life. Finally, the superego starts around age 5. Whoa. Well, from where I am sitting, I have certainly seen that we are living in the time of superego, big time. And, it's celebrated to have a huge ego, to have a superego. It's accepted. It's to make others, it's okay nowadays to have a superego, and having a superego is making other people feel inferior and not valuing others, which was episode 10, values. It is accepted to be the loudest in the room and say whatever you feel without a filter. And, despite how it makes other people feel, you just do it. You don't care. You don't think about it. Having a huge ego, super ego, you just do whatever you want. You don't care. Perhaps it's maybe sliding into someone's DM or posting something to make them feel bad, saying something really mean to someone, maybe posting a review on a business that the food wasn't great and I just have to destroy them. Like, slow down. It's about moving very fast. I think there is a big difference between an ego. Well, it's not me. There is a big difference between ego and confidence. Confidence is not about putting others down. Confidence shows respect with strength and has self-love for others. Confidence is seeing the greatness in others as you see in yourself. Ego is saying the opposite. Ego is saying, I am great and no one else is great. According to the ego, there's nothing that they do is wrong and they can't learn it. They know everything. They're great. Ego thinks it's amazing. Confidence is excellence, and ego thinks it's perfection, even though perfection doesn't exist. But when you have a super ego, remember, you're perfect. I'm the best. I'm the best, and no one else is the best. And you're like, you need to slow down. And the thing about all of this, and like I stated about, as far as like reviews and posting things, you really want to, like I said, and values, the video prior, episode 10, as far as, having critical thinking and just listening before you speak and considering how other people's feelings is very important. because you can't have a world, a nation, a community, a society if you are filled with super egos. You can't, because it's not going to thrive. It's going to dive, You're going to have to take out those other letters in the word. It's going to dive. It's going to go downward, the downward spiral, because respect values are not there. Caring about each other is not there. I'm the loudest one in the room. I know more. I'm better. Like, what are you doing? You don't want your mouth to literally, like, it seems like, if I could put in a metaphor, it's just like you're literally, or an analogy, you're eating your mouth. Like, it's just your mouth is, our mouths are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And yet our heart is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And what is very important is you got to be tough in this world. 100%. You got to be a warrior. You got to be tough. You got to be tough. I agree with that. However, you want to have a soft spot. You want to have a soft heart. You want to be able to let people in. I'm not saying that you have to, not have your guard up at times and not be careful. Of course, you don't want to be just free to anything. But at the same time, you got to let people in. You got to love. You got to have a softness, And Tai Chi, they say, my father would say that it's extreme softness, which makes extreme hardness. And you're like, wow, what does that mean? And my dad would, and my mom, but definitely my dad was heavily into martial arts, which is beautiful. It's another part of our values as far as refining your mind, body, and soul. And up until the day he passed on, he was doing Kumdo, which is great. Kumdo is, it's fencing, but it's the Korean version, Kumdo. And then you have Kendo, which is the Japanese version. It's sword form. They're beautiful. Oh my God, it teaches such amazing discipline, and which we all need. We all need discipline. And the thing is, without discipline, your ego grows. It just grows because you feel that you don't have to work on anything because you are everything and you are so great and you're the best and no one else is. And who cares what other people have to say? And I just have to let them know, what are you talking about? Just spat out things and just go. No, you don't just go. You reflect and then take action. But what action are you taking? And when I reference the part about, going to a restaurant and when you go into a restaurant, if you didn't like the food, I'm going to post about it. Be careful of that, especially in these times. Businesses are closing, restaurants are closing, and you're just going to write a review that could maybe tarnish that person's business, a family. That's what you're going to do just because your food wasn't right. Hey, why don't you go face to face and address the person? And not angry, like it was intentional. Like, really? Like COVID was like, really? Like we want COVID? No one wants COVID. We want the best, So, but just think about how that can make that person feel and how that everyone could see that post. And then other people will jump onto that negative. Yeah, I had it terrible. Unless the place was terrible, that's different. But it's how you go about it. And the thing about the super ego, the ego, is you're not putting yourself into someone else's shoes. You think you know better. I would have never done that. I want to be careful. My father would always tell us, be careful saying the word never. Whenever you say never, the opposite usually happens. I would never do that. You don't know where you would be. So don't talk about things as if you would know. Stop talking so much and listen. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen, like you're listening to me. Hello, hey. But this listening part is I'm going by what I feel that what needs to be put in the world, and it's always love. That's why this podcast is about inspiration. It's about love. It's about love for everyone. And that love always wins. Love always wins, y'all. Always. Love conquers all. It is the truth. God is love, so love conquers all, no matter what. And so I'm going by what I see the world needs. And like I mentioned in video 10, which is values, I mentioned how the body is the universe, and God willing, all of these topics, inshallah, all these topics are about what is needed in the world. Values, love, respect, kindness. Every topic that hopefully gets put out, God willing, is about the human body, what we all need. Mind, body, and soul, everything. And that universe that lives in you. So that's what I'm seeing that is needed. But I'm going by listening, by observing, not what I think I know best, but what I'm observing, what I'm seeing. And if at all there are other topics that I haven't addressed, I would love to get that feedback as well. So I could put that out because it's about positivity, it's about uplifting. So, when you write those reviews, think, put yourself in that person's shoes. Think, wow, if this was my business, how would I want this said to me? How would I want my customers, my clients? Mistakes are going to happen. We're not perfect. Remember, the super ego thinks they're perfect. So you could never do anything wrong. No, that's not true. Okay. We all have room for error. It's about development. But when you lack discipline and you don't have values, your super ego grows. Ego grows really big. Think about that. Talk to people like, hey, the food wasn't so great. Just maybe next week. Like, oh my God, we weren't aware. Maybe they weren't aware. Maybe they were. Some places are terrible. If someone at the door is being disrespectful, that's different. But if they're at the door being disrespectful, why are you still there? If you want to check them, and keep it moving. And I strongly believe God is going to take care of them. Karma's going to get them. So, if someone was outright, that's different. I'm not saying there isn't a need for certain reviews. Yes, there are. But if it's something that possibly was an oversight, think about that. Even think about the other one. Just think before you act, because you need to put yourself in other people's shoes. And when I spoke about Tai Chi, and my father, remember as a child, him practicing Tai Chi, and his teacher, in fact, was one of the best. Oh my God, I forget the form my father, daddy did with Tai Chi, but his teacher was self-taught. And this dude is the truth. And Master Joe was his name. And it's funny because my father's Kumdo teacher, his name was Master Joe as well. But Master Joe from Kumdo was Korean, and his Tai Chi teacher is Chinese. And he learned, was it Chen form? Oh God, I think it's Chen. I don't know. I think so. But he was self-taught. And Master Joe was so great at it that the family that is their form of Tai Chi, he taught it to all the masters. He persevered. He disciplined him so much that he became better than that family. What? That's amazing. Oh, you can't tell me God's not real. So that's just amazing. That's incredible. So my father, the greats. My father surrounded himself with the greats because they knew who they were. And my father knew who he is, and who we all know who we are. And just seeing my father just doing it, and the Tai Chi, oh my God, such discipline. Tai Chi is beautiful. And you see people in the park practicing Tai Chi, the old heads, beautiful, beautiful. When you're younger, you're like, it's stupid. But as you get older, hopefully you start to appreciate those things. And Tai Chi is the truth. It's great. And my father, that's what he would say. Extreme softness is extreme hardness. And I remember I saw this video years ago where this woman was on the train and this devil was on the train, this pervert, and she fought him off, and she knew Tai Chi. It wasn't any other martial art. It wasn't MMA. It wasn't jujitsu. It was Tai Chi. And that, I'm like, that's what's up. That's great. So my father knew that. Really cool. So knows that. So I think that's great. And just walk down memory lane, story time, which is very important. And just painting that picture as far as discipline. Having that discipline allows you to reflect and be tough on yourself as far as pushing yourself to greatness and understanding not everything needs to be about you. It's not. Don't take everything as a personal attack. Don't. Just understand, like, hey, I'm gonna address this head on. Some things you have to, reflect. Some things maybe are an insult. And okay, then you have to handle it a certain way. But if you are dealing with things in a way where everything is coming at you and that you are always in a dark place, and you become a victim and you make everything about you, and then that's another way your super ego grows, and you don't want to do that. It's not healthy. And the thing about, the super ego and the difference that I put, there's a big difference between ego and confidence. Confidence, like I said, is not putting other people down. It's showing respect, it's being kind. And ego is you think you're finished, you're great. And that's very damaging because it does not allow you to look at yourself, your true self. When one has a big ego, you really think you know everything. You don't have to put the best foot forward or be kind to people because I'm always right. So it doesn't matter what you think. Well, first of all, let me back up. When we all speak, we all think we're right. We do. However, you want to make sure that when you're speaking about what you know. But when you listen, you're learning. That's a great quote I read. You're learning. Now you're learning because we all talk about things we know. We all do. It doesn't matter how some people talk with more conviction, more passion. That's the way I talk. My family were all the same way. We talk with that conviction. That's just how we talk. But everyone, when you talk, you think you know what you're talking about, even if you were wrong. You believe you're right. That's why you're talking about it. Even if the movie was great, maybe someone else didn't like the movie. Maybe they thought the movie was whack, but you like it. But whatever it is, you think you know, and that's why you're talking about it. No one ever is like, well, I think. No one does that. No one ever does that. But when you listen, that's where the learning happens. And that's what helps you work on your ego, your super ego, by listening more. You don't want to push, the ego is just pushing other people away. It doesn't mind pushing people out because I think I'm right. The ego doesn't think they need improvement. I don't need to refine myself. I don't need that. I'm great. And that is false. That is totally wrong. We all need development. We all need to work on ourselves. We all need to harness ourselves. Like in Tai Chi, harness yourselves. We all have to do that. In a lot of martial arts, you got to know. None of us were born knowing anything. We didn't know anything. We had to be taught. So if you had to be taught, why do you always think that you know everything? Like I said, when we all speak, we think we know what you're talking about. But as far as thinking you're better and I don't care what you think or how you feel, I'm going to do whatever I want. That's the ego. You could talk and think you know what you're talking about. That's fine. But when you get to a point of making people feel inferior, now we got a problem. And you feel that you're above, now we got a problem. And you're arrogant, now we got a problem. And that's what you don't want. One thing is for sure is we all have the ego. It's all in us. It's the truth. And we all are mixed with light and dark. I've spoke about that before. And it starts with our thoughts. And your thoughts will manifest into in a world that will exist, your world. And I talk about internal world, that your internal world, whatever you create starts by your thoughts and what you entertain. And what you bring to life is what you manifest. But the light that you have in you should always outshine the darkness. I know I stated that before, and it's very true, because the brightest light extinguishes the darkest night. Always remember that. The brightest light extinguishes the darkest night. One more time. The brightest light extinguishes the darkest night.